Hello, welcome to Board Game Bonkers. I'm Jay Sears, and today we're going to take a look at 10 board games you love that I hate. Okay, hate might be a strong word to use, but I really dislike these games. I'm not saying they're bad games, and we're getting more to that later. Now, I'm not going to describe all these games in detail. I'm just going to give you my thoughts and my opinions on these games. So before we get into that, please do consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, because around 90% of you viewers are non-subscribers. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, just hit that subscribe button. And you get more content like this, top 10s, top 6s, and a better than videos looking at 10 board games better than a classics. So let's get to this list, because that's why you're here. Now I want to be clear, I haven't played some of these games for a very long time, although there are a couple of games where I've changed my opinion after playing them again or re-evaluating my score. So I don't want to get too hung up on what I've given them. I've given them some poor ratings, and there's reasons for that. I'm not going to explain how the games play. I'm just going to give you my opinion from my memory. Now, I haven't played some of these games for a very, very long time. So trying to remember how I felt was quite tricky when I put this list together. So with that out of the way, let's get to our number 10. And we're going to start with the one I felt I was most comfortable with, I enjoyed the most, I felt was the better of the lot, and I have changed my score in this one from when I first originally played it. And I've said this in a previous video where I said I would try and buy it again. I did, and I played it and I actually enjoyed it more. But it's still a low score, but not as bad. So this is Splendor. Now, Splendor, originally, I believe I gave a 4.5, and I've changed it recently to a 5.5. So what you're seeing up on the screen is a 4.5, but that's what I originally gave it. But after playing it again, I've considered actually it's not as bad as I first thought, and I've played hundreds of games since Splendor. Now, Splendor is more about a card game. You're collecting these jewels to get cards. Cards then give you jewels that let you get more cards. That's essentially set collection. That's what you're doing in the game. Theme is pretty much non-existent in this game. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. I just felt a little bit bored playing this. I was just kind of doing the same thing, rinse and repeat. And you can say that about a lot of games. But this, because it was themeless, I really didn't enjoy it. I thought it was quite boring. A lot of people said Splendor Duel is the one to go for. It's got a bit more to it, but really I'm hesitant. Concerned that I don't love this game, but my partner does enjoy it a lot. We've kept it around, and I wasn't keen on this large box. Actually, we picked it up in Temu, which unfortunately is a knockoff, but is in a tiny, small box, which is what I wanted. They've only made original Splendor in a small box rather than one. It's far too big for its contents. But I don't think this is a terrible game. It just wasn't for me. It's not my kind of game in general, set collection. And this theme doesn't sing to me at all. Not that it was there at all. But a lot of people love it, and I can see why. It just isn't for me. Let's move in to our number 9 then. And this is Patchwork, which I've given a 4.5. Now, with Patchwork, this is not a bad game, because I like the fact that you're trying to create I don't know what you're creating, a quilt or something. Anyway, not trying to leave any holes in your buttons, if you like. So you're trying to create this. And I really enjoyed that as you're kind of going around in a circle, if I can remember right, and you're picking your little pieces to place on your board. And that came across quite well. I enjoyed how that worked. But I just felt that for me, it just felt more like pattern building than anything else. And if I want to do pattern building, I play a puzzle or something. That's kind of what it felt. I'm not a fan of games that incorporate puzzles and try and create a theme of it. It just isn't for me. And I think the best that has done that is Isle of Cats. And then Patchwork, I can see why it appeals. It's casual. It's easy to play. If I can remember right, you've got all the pieces round as a circle. You're then picking those pieces to create your kind of your pattern, if you like, on your board. And it just felt like I was doing a puzzle. Well, I'd rather play an escape room game if I'm doing a puzzle. And that's just purely why. I've got no offense to this game. It just isn't for me. And some of you thoroughly enjoy this. I can see why. And I can see why a lot of people recommend it. It just isn't for me. So the theme I like. There's just nothing to there that entices me or excites me about the game. So let's move in to my number 8, and this is quite controversial. This is Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game. And I gave this, I believe, a 4.5. I don't think the score changed. And in this game, obviously you're fighting zombies and you have got a hidden role in this as well. But I know there's a cooperative mode. Now, I played the hidden traitor role. I didn't like it because of that hidden traitor. I like going to locations, I like that, but I really didn't like the hidden traitor, and that's probably why I've given it such a low score. I'm sure if I play this again, I might give it a higher score if it's cooperative. Now, I wasn't too keen on the standees. I really didn't like that. I prefer miniatures. I understand the cost goes up, but ultimately, I like the theme. You're surviving. You're going to these different locations. You're getting these different cards that give you different tools to use to try and defeat the zombies. I really like that. I think that's great. And I thought it was quite a theme. I got the sense of the tight space I'm in and going around to these different locations. I enjoyed that. I just didn't like this traitor element. That's why I've given it such a low score. And I'm sure by cooperatively the score would go up. But then again, I much prefer miniatures, not standees. I'm not a fan of standees. And that kind of puts me off. So I've got no offence to this game. I think it's a lovely theme. I think it's well packaged. It just isn't singing to me. I'd rather play a different type of zombie game. And that is just me. But perhaps you love this game. Perhaps you're someone who really enjoys it, doesn't care about the standees, doesn't care about that traitor mode, perhaps is playing that cooperative mode and feels it's much better. And you might be saying in the comments, well, you should get it again and play the cooperative mode. And perhaps this is one I should play again. I don't know. You tell me in the comments down below. So let's move in to our number 7. And this is called Welcome To. And I gave this a 3.5. Now, Welcome To, I played this online. And I remember that we had to put people in rooms. I remember building this kind of neighborhood. So in Welcome To, what you're trying to do is you're trying to design the most populous neighborhood, if you like. And you're building this neighborhood. And for me, I just felt I was playing more of a solo game than a competitive game. And that's what it felt like. And some of it took me back to some other games where it's almost like I'm putting people in rooms, but I'm building a neighborhood instead. So I'm building up this neighborhood and I'm trying to score points depending on the houses and the order I put them in and where I put place houses and buildings. And it felt okay. It just didn't feel engrossing or engaging as much as a lot of other games that do this. And for me, I felt I was playing more of a solo game. It is quite light. I played it online, but playing online is a different feeling to playing it on the table because you don't have that tactile feel online. And for me, this just felt a little bit boring because I was just doing my own thing. I wasn't really playing a competitive game. And that's kind of what it felt like. There was nothing really that enticed me about building a neighborhood. I was just kind of, place a card there, place this there, a few placement rules to remember, things that will score you points in different ways, but that was it. And for me, there wasn't enough in this game to warrant giving it any higher, and I was damn right bored playing it, and that's why I've given it such a low score. I don't think it's badly designed, it just wasn't a game I enjoyed, but you might enjoy it. So let's move in to our number 6. And this one, I did change a rating. This is Seven Wonders. I think I gave this a 4 and I put it down to 3.5. And the reason for that is I've got Seven Wonders Duel, which I love. I really don't like Seven Wonders. The drafting is great. I like drafting in games. But it doesn't give me that tension that Seven Wonders Duel does. It just doesn't. And I felt there was too much downtime between the players when we're going around in higher player count. So that kind of took away from that enjoyable experience. You're still building your wonders, and I like that. But I didn't get that attention, and I didn't get that, oh, there's 3 different ways you can win with Seven Wonders Duel. So for me, I think the way they've done Seven Wonders Duel is 100 times better than the way they've done Seven Wonders. I can see why people enjoyed this game because it's because of the classic. But for me, this is not a game I was enthralled with, and I wasn't excited by it apart from the drafting. But I've only played that a couple of times, and the feeling I got was I don't want to be playing it again. I was bored because I'm waiting too long for my turn to come round. Then I'm looking at my cards, going, right, what do I want to play? Am I going to build my wonders? And I felt that the most experienced players kind of ran away with the game, and it just felt a bit impossible to catch up. And that was one of the problems with this game that I had. But I'm not saying it's a badly designed game. I can see why people enjoy it. It just wasn't a game that I really want to be going back to, considering I've got Seven Wonders Duel, which to me gives me that tension, that excitement. and that's what I want from a game. Just didn't deliver it. So let's move in to my number. I believe we're on number 6. 5, 4, 3, 2. Are we in number what? 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in number 5. I've got the scores in order mixed up, I think. Never mind. I'm trying to remember the order of this because I haven't even bothered planning for this, as you can see. So let's move into number 5. And this is Ticket to Ride, which I believe I originally gave a 4, and I've now given it a 3.5. So I've downgraded the score. Why? I found this way too monopolist and boring. So all I was doing is getting cards. I've got my colours. Whoa, I'm matching these colours. I'm trying to build my rails out. And that's what I'm doing throughout the game. There's a couple of strategies. No experienced players will try and get lots of cards and keep building them up. They have all the options to then get the rails down that they want. But for me, it's just boring. Oh my goodness. So I've got my cards. Right, great. I'm going to build my rail here. I need more cards of this to build this rail. That's all I'm doing. Rinse, repeat. But there's very little in terms of the choice I had, the decisions I could make, the strategies I could use, just a couple of strategies. Go with the cards I've got, build the rails quickly, or get more cards, build those cards up to then give me more options and choices. That those are my options. But it just, felt like there was interaction later on, just not at the start because you're doing your own thing, but later on interaction comes in. So you're then watching the board where people are building the rails, where do you need to go? That was quite good. I like that. I like the lightness and how easy it is to get into, and this is great for families. Just not a game I want to play because of the lack of depth this has and just the repetitiveness. And all I'm doing is pairing up cards to build rails. That is it. That's all I'm doing. For me, it's not a game that excites me, and I'm not a fan of trains, which is why I've given it such a low score. Now, you're probably going to be thumping me in the comments because you probably love it. It's a family game, and that's great if it's for you. Just I have absolutely no interest in playing this again, and I never will. So let's move in to my number 4. So I'm glad we're on the right track here now with the numbers, no pun intended, and this is Spirit Island. I remember playing this for the first time. And I originally, did I give it a 4? I think I got a 4 and I downgraded it to a 3.5. The reason why is because when I first played it, I was given one of the spirits, the introductory spirits, when you're trying to scare off people off the island. And it's so basic in what you can do. So when you're in Spirit Island, you've got your own corners of the board, so you're doing your own thing. It's a cooperative game, you're supposed to be working together, but it's not till later on that you start working with other people. So I'm doing my own thing for 90% of the game. That's boring. That's not a cooperative game. So I'm scaring off. The people are coming to the island and I'm causing havoc, but my spirit can only do so much. Now, I understand why you've got a basic spirit to begin with, to introductory, to ease you into the game, but halfway through, I was bored and really I wanted to stop playing, or I wanted another spirit because that's how I felt. Bored. What do? I'm doing my own thing. I can't work together because you're too far away. There's nothing I can do. I'll just do my own thing, repeatedly over. And because my spirit is limited in what it can do, for obvious reasons, then I'm going to be bored. But it's not for the other problem, I'm going to say this, which I had a problem with, others couldn't see, was the procedural steps. There was way too many steps from when you finished a round to the next round that you had to go through. And for me, it just took far too long by the time it comes round to your turn then, after you've gone all through these procedures. And to me, that just isn't a fun game. I understand thematically why people like this. There's a good theme to this. I just felt the game was executed wrongly. I think they added too many steps, and I think they overcomplicated some of the spirits and how they work. And for me, that cooperative element is pretty much nonsense from the vast majority of the game, and that spoils it for me. That's one of the reasons why I really don't like this game. Boring, not a fan of the artwork, and I think they stole the houses off Monopoly as well. So let's move in to our number 3, and this is Puerto Rico. A classic many people love. I can see why. So you get your different roles, and you're picking your different roles you carry out when you do your action. Now, personally, I prefer having my own role to do and my own abilities, and I don't want other people having that. This doesn't do that. It's a shared pool in terms of the roles you take on your turn. And I can see it, why people like it. You've got a bit of trading, and you carry out your actions based on the ability of the person you've chosen to undertake those abilities with. Yeah, that's appealing for people. It isn't appealing for me. I want my own ability. Now, I played this online, different feeling than playing it on the table. But I just felt that disjointedness by I haven't got my own special ability, my own person. You can use that person as well. And I get that. I understand how that works. It just wasn't a game I felt flowed as well as I would have liked. But I see the appeal why other people enjoy it. I'm just not going to be going back to the table to play this again. We gone through about 3/4 of the game, deciding we're not playing it again. It just didn't sing to us. The roles were a little bit weird at first, and once you get used to them, that's okay. So we kept trolling through it. But it just felt weird that we're sharing these roles, and you can pick that role to benefit you at that time, and it just wasn't for us. Just didn't appeal. But I get it. I understand why you might enjoy it. It just wasn't a game we enjoy, and I'm certainly never going back to it again. Let's move in to my number 2. And this one, I will argue, I hate it. I absolutely do hate it. This is The Crew, which I think originally gave it a 3.5. I've put it down to a 3. And The Crew Mission Deep Sea is a cooperative game, a trick-taking game, and it was boring. I don't like trick-taking, so I'm not going to like it. But hey, I gave it a go because people love it, say it's the best trick-taking game out there. Trick-taking is not for me. I'd give any trick-taking game a 3 or less in score because I just don't like them. It just isn't a game for me, and that's no offence to the game. I'm sure it's a great game and it plays brilliantly well and people love it. I just don't enjoy it. It was boring. I just knew what cards people had, so I knew what we had. So it just felt too easy when we were playing it, and we had to keep reading the rules. Are we playing it right? Are we doing things right? We are. So what is the problem? We just didn't like it. It just wasn't for us. I want to play a trick-taking game. I'll play a normal card game. I don't really need to be playing that. And I certainly would never be playing it again. I remember we played it in the caravan. We were on holiday. We had a spare half an hour. Let's play The Crew. And yeah, never again. Not going to happen. Wasting my 30 minutes. Let's move into my number 1. Remember, we got this. It's one of the first actually board games we had. Somebody recommended it. It's a classic. This is Cosmic Encounters. So this is the revised version. It came out in 2008, I believe. And I gave this a 3.5, I think. Or did I give it a 3? I think I stuck with a 3. And in this game, you basically are one against other people, fighting, essentially. But what was weird when we were doing that, although there was engaging in combat, we were kind of feeling a little bit, well, we're just doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, you can see that a lot of games, we're repeating a lot, but we just felt that when we were playing this with 3, and I'm sure it plays far better with more players, but when we were playing this with 3, it just felt a little bit dull. And the combat, and when we were engaging in combat, what we were doing with the cards that we've got, it just didn't feel engaging enough for us. Now, it might feel completely different with 5 players, and I'm sure it does, but when we were playing it with 3, it just felt a bit flat. And I think one of the problems we had was it just felt a little bit too static and samey in the combats that we were having. And that could be because we were inexperienced, I get that, but it was just a game. We were downright bored playing it. And I remember when we first played it, we said we'd never come back to this game again. It just wasn't for us. We're very thorough with the rules. We'll double check everything before we play a game just to make sure we've got everything spot on, so we're not going back and forth in the rule book during our play. And the play was smooth. We knew what we were doing. It just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right in that engaging aspect. And I think that's why we just gave it such a bad score, because it just felt really dry and dull for us. It just wasn't for us. It didn't feel like it was aliens competing against other alien species that much in terms of the theme. But hey, I might be playing it perhaps a different way than some other people are playing it, and that's probably why I don't enjoy it as much. But hey, the discs were cool, but it just wasn't a game for us. Perhaps you might enjoy it. So that brings us to the end. I do apologise for mixing up the numbering, because I'm sure I'll play this back and go, why did I say it was a 5 when it's a 6 and we're on 4 and it's in a 3? Doesn't matter. You've got the 10. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you can get a sense of why I've enjoyed some of these games. But one game I will try and check out again is Dead of Winter. I might go and play that again just to see what it's like. I won't buy it. I'll just find someone who's got it, Let's try it out again and see if I like it cooperatively. But the other games I absolutely have no interest in playing again, apart from Splendor, which I've got now. So things and opinions can change over time. But let me know in the comments down below, what are your games that you really hate and why? These are games I really don't like and I have no interest in playing them again. And I certainly have no interest in playing them with anyone who tries to entice me to play them. But perhaps you've got your favourites that you hate. And let me know what they are in the comments down below. And please, before I go, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already to check out other top 10 videos. Until next time, I'm Jay Sears. Take care.
This is Bonkers.